nothing from those. They're completely silent as far as I'm
This is
concerned.
so cool.
I know!
Now, is this the part where you reach around and you have a little beep next to her ear to paralyze her? Hi, welcome to, you might want your microphone for one of these. We're doing, welcome to Movie Nights at the Round Table. It's our really stupid punny name for this silly thing.
I'm kind of excited.
Are you?
Music on.
Lindsay will be listening to music for the duration of this.
This is my
Lindsay's
plan,
out
boy
of the
George.
Nice.
Whole review.
So
This is
what with
fucking cool.
Avengers Infinity War
Thumbs up this.
in theaters right now,
Though, shouldn't I?
we thought it'd be nice to kind of go back
paused.
over the course of the next year to look back at all the Marvel movies one at a time. I can start this again if everybody's all doing other shit.
Where did I put my beer?
We decided we were going to go and
Finish
take
it.
a look
You
at each of the
drank
movies
it.
again
No, I
one by
didn't. I got
one.
it.
And what better way to start that than with the now 10 years old Iron Man.
Isn't that neat, guys? 10 years old.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
fucking
surprising. It doesn't really
old.
show in very many places in there, except like some
True.
CGI
Some of the
things are a
CG's a little
little
bit rough.
more
Like the
obvious than
fire.
I'm used to.
Yeah, the fire. There's some spots. I mean, we'll get
There's
to that
like a
as
couple
we...
spots in like the ground moving. Yeah.
Does someone want to give, if somehow anyone is a stranger to Iron Man, does someone want to give like a quick little rundown of the skeleton of this thing?
Iron Man. I'm a pretty boy with a lot of money. My daddy made weapons and so do I, because we're Americans. Oh my god! Our weapons are being used to kill people? No way! Holy shit! Well, I can't stand for that. We're gonna stop that. What? You didn't stop that just because I said so? Well, I'm gonna go way overboard and create a giant suit and then go kill some people. The end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least the first like 2/3 right
You're
there.
welcome.
That's the spoiler-free version.
I didn't want to spoil it for you guys.
Tony Stark
So-
on a roaring rage of rampage to go and take down the people using his own weapons that he somehow didn't. Yeah, that's pretty accurate, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, first movie up out of all of this. I don't know about you guys, but
I don't know
I
about
didn't-
you either.
that's true. I didn't think about it much when it came out because you don't think about it in this kind of a way as you're seeing movies the first time. But looking at it now, this is like such a 90s to 2000s movie,
Is
it?
superhero-wise. Like, everything about this movie feels very similar to, like, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man. Like, even, honestly, the Nolan trilogy, to an extent, has a... That one is
In what
very
way?
different. Something about just, like, the tone of it, the
Too abstract.
character
Give me
that-
something more.
the character depth goes about as far in a lot of the same
Character
ways. Like,
depth.
no one really goes that much
It's
further
an
in.
intro
and
movie. You're being given
sure.
the backstory.
Well, it kind of, yeah. It
What
also
are you
like
hating on that?
I'm not hating on it. I didn't say it was a bad thing. I love X-Men
No,
1.
I'm just saying.
I love
don't know.
Spider-Man.
I'm just saying. I feel like I'm
It-
asking you where you're getting these.
it like
the
restarted
similarity
the
from,
whole
other than
superhero movie thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's just like a tonal thing. Like, if you go back to watch, say...
Watch your tone with me.
If you go back and watch the Burton Batman movies, they have a different tone to them than
That's 'cause that's
X-Men,
Burton.
Spider-Man.
I
All right,
feel like
but then there's
that's-
also
Okay,
the
sure,
Superman,
but, like,
the Superman movies from like the 70s.
The Batman movies, I would argue, have always tended to have a darker tone.
That's
Like,
true.
They're almost kind of not in the same universe. These are more comic
Right.
booky,
The
just like the
chance
X-Men movies
dream.
are. So I think it's not unreasonable for them to have a similar tone, just by virtue of that.
Think of something like Superman 1 through 4. The old,
No,
the old.
also doesn't count. I
It
would
does.
argue.
They're the
No,
only
Superman
popular
and Batman.
ones.
No, I'm arguing Superman and Batman are kind of in their own.
Why don't
little,
we
like,
stay in the
genre
Marvel
of being
universe?
weird.
Okay, we can stay in the Marvel universe.
I think
Marvel
that's a
did
good
not
choice.
make many comic book movies prior to when they gave stuff to Sony and Fox. To be honest, they made Howard the Duck.
Cute.
they made a Captain America movie.
There was a Captain America movie. I
boy.
don't remember if it was supposed to be released, but the one with J.D. Salinger's son as Captain America.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
Yeah.
real bad. It's
Like, not even like an endearing way, and like
And
someone
like,
wrote that and was like, "Get it?" And like that's
no.
where the thought stopped.
I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
I ordered some pad thai.
Oh.
That's my time limit.
D-pad tie. Something about this movie feels more like what I consider like a classic superhero movie out of that same stretch of 2000s movies than, say, Winter Soldier, which feels nothing like X-Men, Spider-Man, any of those.
That
this
is
one
true.
is
It's
is
a
more
little bit
interesting
more-
But I'd
than
also
that.
argue
Well, I
that's
mean,
a
look at
second
the-
movie. They're doing
yeah.
different things.
Look at
What
the
about the
plot
first
in-
movie? Would you argue that feels similar or
No.
not?
I think
Look
Captain
at the
America
plot
is fair.
in
That does feel
Iron-
very different. That
and
feels
the
like a
plot in
war
Iron Man
movie.
is like
But it is
Tony
a war
Stark
movie.
builds robot, fights, wins. Like that's
He's he's fighting his own internal struggle character. Also, Buddy's bad guy. Take down Buddy, bad guy. Like
I'm just curious.
It's,
I
yeah,
just want more from you
super-
for why you think it's like the X-Men movies.
I've been explaining. It's a tonal thing. It's not a very. It's
No, I would actually agree with him on the tonal thing because
Alright.
basically what
I
it
feel
is
like it's
is
a
that
little
it
vague,
has.
that's
Well,
all.
no, I'll explain it here. So basically, tonally, it has
Tonally.
some tonally, guys.
Tonally.
So tonally, it has kind of the darker parts that we see come out in later movies in all of these franchises. But what it does is it almost makes light of it. You actually have to kind of look a little bit more to see where his character flaws are that aren't super obvious and stupid, things like that. It makes...
I don't know. I feel like
It-
most
it
of them
makes
are
light of
obvious
it,
and
basi-
stupid. For
Okay,
him.
It's
because they-
true, but I
they-
mean, like, they make
touch
light
on-
of the things as opposed to trying to make them dark and trying to make them really resonate with us like they do in the later movies, where they want you to take it seriously. They don't
Yeah.
want it to be
I guess
as light.
that's fair.
They,
I mean,
they
he just-
touch on serious things, but
It's
like
a joke
overall, the
more than
overall
it's
tune,
anything else, I
the overall
guess.
tone feels comic booky, even
Yeah.
though they touch on pretty serious things.
Yeah.
we
like,
got into with like the
It's- I mean,
physics.
like-
like alcoholism,
Even
though
though
Yeah,
that is
the-
the thing the
you know,
comics get into later, but it's also
narcissism,
later in his
yeah,
arc.
yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff when
Well,
they're
like-
getting more into
So
Well,
so
by
one
the
of the
time
big
you get to Civil War or Winter Soldier, it's like everything is serious, everything is life or death. It
Yeah.
loses a bit of the,
The
like
whimsy kinda
lighthearted,
starts to-
colorful,
That's
fair, that's
comic
fair.
booky
well, so
feel.
what I guess to kind of get into that, we commented a bit like so while watching the movie. There's parts where, and I mean, yes, it's a fictional, silly comic book movie, but there's points where like the physics of things are so ridiculous that's like he uses his Iron Man Mark 1 to escape from the 10 rings and just like whoof, and he like just trebuchets himself across the desert and just
I mean, he's got to be
massive
a straight mile
That
into
part
the
was the
air,
problem.
Yeah.
and then like
and just like
drops,
nah.
like
The
And,
way
like-
his suit deconstructed and
Yeah.
he was fine was
Right.
just
And-
so...
And let's I mean, I guess this is something we're going to talk about later, but there are examples of this exact same thing. Two different pieces of this movie were fused into one, and that's one of them that gets used later with much more horrifying, realistic, devastating results. With in particular with like falling out of the sky and just, winging it kind of thing. We'll get there when we get there, but
I'm excited to get there.
Are you saying that it's a little inconsistent?
I think it's a little inconsistent.
Okay.
The Ironmonger suit drops out of the sky because of an icing problem, and then it just
It's
I know,
Back
right? I like
up,
they're
yeah.
like,
phases out of existence
So
for a minute.
They do not
wanna
explain
do
how he
that,
gets out of that. They do not
but-
explain how he gets back. They don't explain anything. They're just
Yeah.
like, yep, he's fine. Don't worry about
There's
it.
well,
actually
he
a little
did say
bit-
before that his suit was better in every way.
I
Every
guess it was
way.
better at being totally invisible. It moved so slow as to be invisible.
Yeah,
So
it was there for a whole hour.
it was. Oh my god. Crunch. I actually really liked the kind of divergence of the two designs based off that initial suit. You've got Tony's that's all about like sleeker,
Yeah.
form-fitting, something that is essentially a man suit. Like he's basically building himself as the internals of a robot.
I am
Right,
man
it's more
suit.
of a it's more of a suit of armor than it is something that has
Right.
a lot of extra stuff on the surface.
Exactly. And whereas compared to that, you've got Obadiah Stane's suit, which is like
Juggernaut.
massive. Yeah, this enormous fucking
But
hulking
it's also
thing.
obviously
Which is,
a
uh,
booster
he's
for
Ironmonger,
your,
right?
your
That's the-
strength
yeah.
and your,
yeah.
your reach and everything.
In the comics, he's called the Ironmonger.
Yeah.
They toy with that in the movie.
Yeah, there's one line which is like, "Oh, we're ironmongers.
Yeah, it's
we
like,
sell iron."
We're ironmongers. We make weapons.
They play with it a little bit
That
more
dance went with it,
cleverly in some
Yeah,
of the
did
later
you miss
movies.
that in the
I
movie?
did
It
miss
was
the
part of the
dance.
movie.
I'm glad that
It's
you.
the best
you
line
did
in the
it
whole
for me,
movie.
Thank you.
The music played too.
That's true, yeah. But yeah, I like the idea that that they go two different directions. Both of those suits have a very different feel by the end. And even when they're like lifting off in the sky, you have this like it's the difference between a missile and a shuttle. Like in terms of even the sound design they have on that is very like this big, humongous flame sort of thing with that.
I also do like when he's chasing him up into the sky,
yeah.
and even their like little stars look different. As
Yeah. Yeah, they're like,
Like,
it's like
Tony goes like, boom. like straight up.
Yeah.
And then the Monger is kind of like has a
lifting
slight bit of an
off.
arc. It's
Yeah.
kind of cute.
It's also
yeah,
like
he's,
this
he's
giant,
like launching,
smoke.
whereas
Yeah,
Tom's
Tony
like,
just
like
goes,
an arrow.
Yeah.
I do like the differences between.
Yeah, there was
So much
some
more
good
mass,
thought
though,
put
that
into
he's-
that.
yeah.
Yeah. It's weird that they put thought into that, but not stuff like, hey, if he fell from like 5,000 feet in
Well,
a
again,
metal
that's kind of
can.
going
Yeah,
back to the
but-
where it's a comic book. You
Right,
know, hey,
yeah.
these funny things happen. It's
Yeah,
silly.
we make it
and-
work the way we want it to work.
Hilarious stuff like an Air Force colonel hitting the receiver to kill a call that's telling people, hey, should we go check on that? And be like, nah, those two
And
rockets
everyone
are
else
fine.
is like, you're not the officer on duty, but boy, do we like
Yeah,
you.
right.
Yeah. But it does make sense that this movie kind of like reignited. Well, no, the X-Men movies were first, right?
Yeah, so X-Men, so actually Spider-Man was 1st. Spider-Man was 2002.
And
'Cause that came
Spider-Man
out
1 was,
right
was
after
pretty,
9/11.
pretty
Yeah.
That was
solidly,
a
amazingly interpretation
Yeah.
of the comics.
Yep. You
Like,
had
it was just a perfect spot on.
Spider-Man.
Yep.
The first Spider-Man was good.
That's what I'm saying. It was the perfect
whatever.
spot
Spider-Man
on
2 was better.
interpretation.
I
of
have
the
an
comics.
unpopular opinion on the first
I
Spider-Man.
thought Spider-Man
Like
1's
about
okay.
We're not talking about Spider-Man.
That's
right
true.
Is it
now.
an issue
Oh,
with
so
Toby?
sorry,
Because
I'm
I've got
just
issues
curious.
with
We
Toby.
should stick to
Take our
Iron Man
time.
and its
Okay,
place.
yeah.
But so like
So
there was
Spider-Man
Spider-Man, there was
2002.
some X-Men movies.
X-Men was 2003.
we
Fantastic
just
Four was
didn't even skip
2004 or 5.
So that was trying. It was like
And then Batman in
comic
2005.
hero movies were like. They were like trying to crawl back up. They're trying to make
trying to
something
come
for
back
it.
from the days of Batman
Like cockroaches
and Robin
coming up
and
the toilet.
Steel.
Yeah,
and
exactly like
embarrassing shit
cockroaches
like
in a
that.
toilet. What is wrong with your toilet? And then Iron Man comes along, and then it kind of like it nails it.
Yeah, it's just a good movie.
Yeah.
Like that's the
I don't
thing
know
is
if they've
like
done the justice,
you can look at
so
Spider-Man
maybe
and you
not.
can look at those and like frankly all of those are I mean maybe not Fantastic Four but like Spider-Man
Yeah.
and Iron Man in particular just good movies.
Yeah.
Like even aside from the superhero genre there's solid arcs, there's good character
I would say
development.
the first Spider-Man and like the first couple X-Men movies
Yeah.
were like they were like oh wow they did pretty good for a comic book
Right.
movie. Iron Man was the first
was a
one. Was
march
like
up.
that's a pretty solid movie and it's
Wow.
about a comic book
Yeah.
character.
They had an
I mean-
X-Men movie and Jean Grey was in it, and we didn't all hate it because she sucks.
I don't.
Amazing.
I don't.
I don't know. I enjoyed all the. All
I
the
hate
what it
Jean
really
Grey.
came down
Spider-Man
to
movies,
I
pretty
think
much.
I think what it really came
But there
down
were
to
problems with
honestly
them, but-
Spider-Man was pretty good. X-Men was all right. I got
Jean
issues
Grey
with
was
that
Some
one.
that
than
were
Jean
pretty
Grey.
good, and there
Yeah.
were
The first
some that
X-Men
were
was,
only
was
okay.
good. From what I
Fantastic Four-
remember. It could be
Right.
a little nostalgia.
Fantastic
goggles.
Four
That's what I'm
was
saying. There were some that
okay.
were pretty good, and there were some
And then
that
we
were
had
okay.
Batman Begins, and suddenly everyone went, wait! You can do a superhero movie that isn't just a silly popcorn flick.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what got what got the gears spinning in people's
Attention.
heads, where they're like, okay, wait, we got to think about this because maybe if we don't treat it like, oh, it's just a comic book, we might have something here.
Yeah. If you say, "Oh, this is a movie,"
Yeah. Treat it like a movie
about
first.
a comic book character.
Yeah.
The
And
thing
that's
is
something-
also, it's like in the comics, they've been dealing with more realistic subject matter and
sure.
stuff for ages.
True.
So it's
Yeah.
like that
True.
works.
Yeah.
True.
I think
Why would you not? I don't know.
We watched
and
Logan
that's
recently.
why there was this untapped gold mine, and they're like, "Oh, we can do this correctly." And now, I mean, now
Right.
look at
Now,
it. You know,
now
like-
everyone's worried about superhero fatigue,
Right,
and it's
yeah.
not because the movies are silly; it's because they're exhausting.
Like 3 per year.
Yeah. Oh, more than 3. There were
No.
3 Marvel ones last
God,
year.
yeah. Sorry. Something.
There were 2
insane.
DC ones last year, and there were a bunch of independent and non.
Yeah.
The like Lego Batman was last year. Like there's a bunch of
Non-associated.
stuff.
all the way down to like Hellboy had I really liked the Hellboy movies.
I liked
was
Hellboy
great.
I think
1.
I've only
Yeah.
ever seen the first one.
Yeah, actually,
no, I
that's
saw the second
Did I
one
see
and it
the
was
second one?
okay.
I
The
don't-
second
remember
one
the
was a
second
little
one
bit
much.
weaker, but had awesome visuals.
Yes,
'cause
it was
Guillermo
very
del
cool
Toro.
Yeah,
looking.
Guillermo del Toro is gonna always
but it
nail
was
that
like
stuff.
meh, if I recall.
But so
Was there more than that?
Just
there were
two.
only 2. They were
Ah.
working on a third and never happened, and the new Hellboy is kind of
But-
coming from that.
Oh, they're
But
rebooting the
Hellboy
series?
being read just
Yeah.
like Iron Man, which
Whoa.
we're talking about.
That's true. But yeah, I
And
think
bringing
is-
it back in.
I think they did. It's, and I know that you want a more concrete example, but I think basically Iron Man is the perfection of the 90s to 2000s superhero genre movie. A very simple plot. There's not a lot of density in Iron Man 1, honestly. It's a pretty
many
shallow
explosions though.
plot. You don't really get much
do
deeper
like
than
explosions.
there's terrorists. Oh, the terrorists are dead. Wait, Obadiah Stane paid for the terrorists to be bad.
He's a stain on our consciences. What?
But yeah, so like I don't think I think that maybe that's kind of the big thing. The older superhero movies from 15 years ago didn't have much to offer plot wise. They were pretty shallow, Iron Man 1 is also, but it doesn't feel like that's a huge detriment.
Well, so in Iron Man, the plot was not strong, but they did a good job of developing characters.
Yes. You get a real good idea of Tony. The very first shot of Tony
is him with
is
a
his
drink
hand, with whiskey in a glass. Like, that pretty immediately gives you a solid idea of, like, this is what's important.
While
He's
he's
around
riding
and
an
yet
army
successfully
Humvee,
flirting with the army. Yeah.
Fucking joking around in an active military zone, like, immediately after selling a bunch of, like, Sidewinder missiles. Like,
do you know what's really nice about this, though? So think about when a lot of the original comics were coming out. It was World War II,
the 40s, 30s even in some cases.
And I mean, like, literally, it was a lot of the comics were created with this ideal of, like, you know, America defeating the bad guys.
Yeah.
That's what all of them were.
This one comes out in this one pretty strong.
So this is actually, I love the parallels between the beginnings of the comic book revolution.
Yeah.
Like, when they went from just being something for children to something that was actually
something like
everywhere.
Right.
And so, like, I mean, it's kind of fantastic that literally that is the beginning of the comic books, like comic books as we know them.
Fight that enemy country.
Fight that enemy, and look at exactly
Captain America
what
used
is
to punch
happening.
out Japanese people. Like, that's
I
what...
know. I know.
Wow.
I mean, like, there was a lot of horrific shit going on, but I mean, like, look at that. We immediately have...
That's a really good point.
That is.
I
that's
love
awesome.
that parallel. Like, I think that's
it's kind of like
absolutely
Watchmen
fantastic.
in its own way, in that it's almost not like a satire of, but sort of it's almost itself a metaphor for its own medium.
Yeah,
because like the first half of this movie, like you're saying, like he's fighting terrorists, which is like basically all they did for like 30 fucking years in comics, and then someone's like, what if we had a little nuance? What if we actually try?
What if we thought about that?
I think the original like Superman comics was written or designed by a couple of Jewish people, and it was supposed to be this
and
like,
I mean, like it was some kids
like get
too.
back at the Nazis. Kind of.
Well, their whole thing too. The Nazis were all about the Ubermensch, so this was kind of taking back that concept and being like, well, what if though?
Yeah, I read about that a little while ago. It was pretty great.
Okay in there.
So
I teased something while we were watching this, and I've been reminded of
his
it.
nips.
Yes.
Oh,
sexy.
No, so all right, Tony gets rescued, steps off the plane, about to go to a press conference, grabs some Burger King on the way there.
Oh yes, you didn't tell us.
So
I forgot.
I didn't know this until a couple days ago, but he specifically requested that they get Burger King, not any other burger company. Had to be Burger King because, according to Robert Downey Jr., the moment where he decided it was time to turn his entire life around was when he was out some night, strung out on all sorts of shit, got some Burger King and ate it, and he described it as being the most disgusting food he'd ever eaten. And it used to be his favorite. His absolute favorite thing was to go get Burger King, and the realization that the thing that he loved the most was disgusting. He was like, what even matters if I can't even enjoy this? So essentially, despite the fact that the whole reason for him turning his life around, was that Burger King tasted nasty to him. It was this like.
Does Robert Downey Jr. have like a book about himself?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. He loved Iron Man as a character before, and he was a perfect fit for it after, considering all of his own inner demons and stuff.
Because he's kind of a fascinating human being. Anyway.
Also, he has this great little Sharpie stash.
It's like very carefully trimmed down.
Yeah,
you can,
it's like
see
little microsurgery trimmers.
When they zoom in, you can see that he still has stubble like up here.
Above them. That's the weirdest thing.
It's
for
like,
some reason,
no, just allow it to be the natural shape. I don't care what it looked like in the comics.
I don't know why these Phase 1 movies sucked with facial hair, because Thor has it even worse.
They're trying to make it look identical to the way it was drawn in the comics, and that's their problem. And it's like, that's not how humans grow hair.
They did the same thing. Fantastic Four, they gave them the little stripes, the little stripies, and they just were like white.
Yeah.
Now they do that again with Doctor Strange.
But
in
they
the newer
try
Marvel
to make
movies,
it look a little
but they make it look realistic.
Like,
oh, maybe the comic book drawings aren't drawn to life either. Yeah. Like, you don't have to inverse that.
Like assume they're being
Thor
stylized.
Looks like someone just dabbed his face with a bunch of brown sugar, and then took an eraser and just wiped away his eyebrows. That's what Thor looks like in his first movie. It's so embarrassing.
They're very pale.
I don't remember.
It sounds like it works.
Yes,
like I would try to just patch
beautiful.
brown sugar to my face.
Hey, I can help you do that.
Let's do it right now.
I'm ready. All right.
We have honey and brown sugar. We can make this happen.
Your skin's going to be glowing after this.
All day I'll be like, oh.
I love my new beard.
And then this will be gone. Like you see, here's the problem.
So then it'll just be like a, just like a space around here that's gone, and then never mind. Anyway, it's delightful to me.
Oh, God.
I gotta be honest. So I assume all of us in some way or another are at least fond of, if not fans of, Jeff Bridges.
I hate Jeff Bridges.
Do you really?
No, I love
Jeff Bridges is the dude.
I hate that he got what?
Are you serious?
An award for like some bullshit movie.
Oh yes, the bad. Are you serious right now?
I don't know actor names.
Oh my God, the dude.
I understand this.
When I'm saying the dude, I mean the dude from The Big Lebowski.
I understand you.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
yeah.
the bad guy.
But also the bad guy,
the one with the beard,
the movie we're talking about. Yeah.
So apparently he was thrilled to be in the movie because he was like, "I've never played a bad guy. So this is gonna be great," and like wouldn't shut up about it during production. But I thought he was pretty rad in this one.
He was all right.
He wasn't like amazing.
He didn't detract from the movie. He was just like, okay. Yeah,
I thought he did a good job of being generally ominous.
No, but so there's the thing. There are some movies where people will be like, "I'm so excited to be the bad guy. This is gonna be fantastic." And then they come in and they're like, "Hi."
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be in this movie. Aren't I ominous? And he actually did a good job.
Yeah. I won't say which
Normally
movie.
he's very warm in most of his movies.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That's why I like
very
him so
welcoming
exactly.
kind of like.
He does have like a very kind of like that like.
That's the thing. I think he does a cold demeanor pretty well.
Yeah.
Like,
although that is nice.
What was the Western movie that he was in?
I forget the name of it, but he played Rooster Cogburn.
Yeah. Fucking.
Well then.
He was True Grit. And he was like,
he got nominated for an Academy Award for it.
Yeah,
he would have if he
was
won
not
it.
a warm character in that
No,
movie.
he was a very like sea salty, not just salty. This is like scoop it up off the bottom of the ocean.
I really like that movie, and I think it got like kind of meh reviews. But I thought it got
a decent. It was a Coen Brothers movie. It got a decent number of nominations.
Oh, that is the milkshake one.
Huh?
Milkshake
no,
one?
that's not No Country for Old Men. That's
Yeah, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
No, is it No Country for Old Men? No,
There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood.
Is
I mixed those
but
two
he's
up.
not
I don't know
in
why.
that.
No, he's not. No.
Okay, I just get confused sometimes.
Anyway,
if he had won for Rooster Cogburn, that would have been the first time in cinematic history that the same character earned 2 Academy Awards.
Oh, because the original
was that? Oh my God! Now I forgot his name.
Oh, I don't know.
The Western guy.
Clint Eastwood?
No. Oh,
Robert
guys.
Newman?
Wow. Okay. All right. Clint Eastwood is an actor. Sure.
Do you want Newman?
Further back. Further back.
That's just so perfectly in sync.
Well,
it was beautiful.
Well, settle up, partner. Like the easy to stereotype one.
Oh, I don't know.
He played Genghis Khan once, and it was embarrassing.
I don't fucking know, dude. I don't watch
We're
Westerns.
so bad at this.
I don't know.
Look, I just love
actors.
Paul Newman.
I don't know
Robert
anybody's
Redford.
No, not Robert Redford.
Who's
Though he's
beautiful as well.
he shows up in one of the Marvel movies. He's
Oh,
great.
that's kind of cool.
He's pretty good.
My friend Greg and I always argue about who is more beautiful, Paul Newman or Robert Redford. He's on the side of Robert Redford. I'm on the side of Paul Newman.
Speaking of giddy villains, I will save it until after we've watched the movie that it shows up in. But there was someone who played a villain who straight up spoiled the big twist of the movie because he told the press that he was so excited to play a villain, even though he was playing what was supposed to be a good guy.
Oh wait, no, you can't do that, dude.
Yeah, and he was just like, "Oh wait," like, "Oh, dude, no." But Iron Man, we keep going off. I don't know if you guys noticed, I have a list. So
I saw you with a pen.
Yeah.
So
I earlier on, less so
Pretty
now,
good
but
at noticing things over here.
Over the course of the first dozen movies that they made, Marvel got. I'll tell you in a second. Marvel got kind of a weird reputation for being a little overly tropey. They used the same bits over and over again, and I wrote down a bunch of them to see just how true this is and check them off as they show up.
I was wondering what you were checking off.
I made a list. It's about maybe 15, 16, something like that. And I what was that? Oh, the
Doesn't
headphones
matter.
fell. origin or adding extra backstory, which this is because it's a first one. That's kind of an expectation for the first one.
Oh.
Daddy issues. Tony Stark has daddy issues that don't come
really
up in this movie. This movie doesn't get into it.
They
only, if anything, it makes it sound like he had a really good relationship with his dad.
Yeah. No, they talk about him following in his dad's footsteps.
The second one that they really start.
Second one's where that really shows up.
The only way his dad is mentioned in this movie is his following in his dad's footsteps. And oh my
just
goodness,
the very
how
beginning.
brilliant he is! Like that was it. And his dad disappears.
Yeah, that's basically all they got. The next one is having a black best friend. Check mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
The phrase "the world is changing." This is one of the newer Marvel ones. I don't think it's going to show up for a while, but that is one that shows up in almost every movie after a certain point.
To be honest, Rhodes in this movie, Rhodes feels less like his friend and more kind of like his keeper.
No, but they tell you this is Tony's best friend.
Yeah,
no,
they're just
I know,
like,
but like
ding.
he feels
All right,
more like his keeper. Like in the next movies, they feel more like buddies.
I told you I'm not mad. I'm indifferent. Okay.
I said I was sorry.
Good morning, you don't need to apologize to me. I'm not mad.
I told him I was sorry, but he
I'm just indifferent right now. You don't respect yourself, so I know you don't respect me. I'm just your babysitter, and so, you know, when you need your diaper change, thank you. Let me know, and I'll get you a bottle, okay?
Hey!
Trying to keep track of Tony and
except
being
for
like,
the
come
fact
on,
that
Tony,
he's a huge,
you can't die.
Except for the fact that he's a huge asshole about it.
Well, yeah, because he's Tony Stark.
Yeah, Tony Stark is a huge
but like,
asshole.
Clearly,
sure.
But clearly, Rhodes is a colonel, right? And he's in charge of making sure he doesn't die and
so when
stuff
Tony shows up to
mission.
the airfield and says, I got a great idea, and he says, oh yeah? Let me see it. Oh, it's not military. You got to get your head straight. Like,
no,
dude.
I mean, like,
no.
Like, I that's what I mean. I don't feel like the relationship is well portrayed in this movie.
Maybe that's why after the fact they went and said, this is his best friend.
Like there's some places
black
where
best friend is maybe less the right term. Black accomplice, black associate, black buddy.
I would like the relationship feels a lot better in the other two movies. Is all I'm getting at.
The check mark here is less for them actually being best friends and more black sidekick-ing.
Well,
which is definitely a Marvel trope.
Definitely.
No,
and like
I totally
he definitely
get your
intended
point.
to be his best friend.
Your point that they don't like convey that very well in the movie is fine, but the movie explicitly like yells at you. These guys are best friends.
He is his best friend in the movie. I just don't think it is well done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No. We definitely commented on how they have a bit of a mean-spirited relationship, or at least Rhodey does to Tony in a lot of this. Like he looks out for him, he's got his back, but he seems reluctant to care a lot of the time. Next one up is getting fired. The main character gets fired, which does happen. Stark gets removed from his company by his own board of directors. Yeah. Less of a direct one, but that's a common one too.
It's as fired as a CEO gets, really.
True. I mean, entirely, right?
Case, yeah.
You got an injunction filed and ousted
that's what
from
I'm
the
saying.
company.
It's as fired as they get.
Yeah.
So
the Stan Lee cameo. In this one, he allegedly plays.
I mean.
I think he is in all of them so far. There may have been one where he wasn't, but as Hugh Hefner or a Hugh Hefner confused person.
So who was he in this? He
was Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, when he goes to the party,
goes, "Hey Hef," and like there's there with like the three
smoking jacket
models.
Yeah,
that's right.
Who would have thought Stan Lee was going to outlive Hugh Hefner?
Oh, I mean,
that's surprising.
He's an interesting man, Hugh Hefner.
Yeah. A personal connection to the villain. The villain being someone that they have like a deep thing with, which it's
he
his
like
business
basically
partner.
grew up with him too, because he was his dad's friend.
He was essentially his stepdad. Yeah,
like
I feel like it's
step
either
uncle almost.
Yeah. I feel like it's either like a total detachment from the villain, and then it's like okay, whatever, or they have like a backstory, and then that feels tropey. So just like, just pick one. Like who cares? Like whatever.
In between.
The 3-point landing. I don't know if the 3-point landing ever happened in this movie.
What's that?
That's where you land on a foot, a knee, and your hand.
Oh, really?
That's like
he must have done it. At some point.
That's not really the Iron Man pose. The Iron Man pose
not
is
much.
the feet
Spider-Man
together
does a lot.
And the hands out.
Well, not when leaving, when landing. At one point, he does the foot and the knee, but he doesn't do the hand. He's got the hands behind him for that.
Yeah,
that was as close as he came.
He does do the drop, and that's.
But
that's
until
when
that hand touches, that's the goal line.
I would have said for sure it happened somewhere, but
I would have thought so too. But
I wasn't looking for it.
Right, exactly.
I'll trust you on
Rick
that.
Rick didn't
but.
let us play the game.
Damsel in distress. Didn't really have that.
I mean, no, Pepper was running from...
For 3 seconds and did
is,
not
yes,
rescue him.
But it wasn't a plot
It wasn't
point.
like, you know, Lois Lane falling from a building and Superman catching her.
That's fair.
Mary
She did
like
not need
a
giant plot point of like, oh no, Pepper's and...
Yeah,
and
Tony never had to...
She was running and she'd be like, oh fuck, and Tony would do something and then he'd call her and be like, you gotta do this right now, and she'd be like, you fucking bitch.
It's fair. That's fair. That's fair. She was just more generally in danger.
Similarly, there was no girl fight. And this is another one that is technically a movie trope, but
taking out the trash comment.
count that because that was like
it's like a half point. I
thought. No, that's a full. That's
it's like a assassin.
Look, it wasn't. Here's the thing, though.
A one-hit knockout still counts as a fight.
It wasn't really a girl fight though, because what it really was Pepper Potts being like,
dominance,
honey. I have seen so many of you, and I am done with you guys insulting me because you are like.
You're one a dozen.
You sit there and you look at me and you get concerned because I'm a woman standing here with your clothing. I just went and cleaned your clothing for you because I respect you enough to do that. Don't dick me around.
Yeah.
So it's not really a girl fight. It's more just like Pepper Potts being like, I just did something nice for you. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yep. Losing an arm. This one's also one that doesn't show up too much in the beginning, but there's a trope that starts to show up about
drops the
characters
hand on the suit.
Characters literally losing an arm. I mean, I guess that's true, but it's usually like cutting things off. There's a lot more of that, especially in Phase 2. Allegedly,
does it count when Bucky's arm keeps coming off and on and off and on? Like, is that a new?
Actually, yes.
Is that a new thing each time?
Or
does it reset?
Depends how permanently he loses
the first time around, it definitely does. The villain is a copycat villain. That's a really bad Marvel trope, and that one starts strong right here. It's literally Iron Man suit versus Iron Man suit.
That's very comic book in general. Like, you look at the Flash and then like
and the reverse
so the
Flash.
Powers are
like that's so blatant.
Reverse Flash. Yeah.
I mean, but it's so the powers can be equal, so you can have a fight that feels
it's
good
true.
without it being like,
but like,
it's Iron Man versus Magnet Man. Well,
sure, but
like, you know what I mean?
By comparison,
they made out forever.
On the far end of the spectrum, you have stuff like Spider-Man and the Vulture.
Magneto would be a little one-sided.
On the far end, you have stuff like Spider-Man and the Vulture, who are not even remotely the same in terms of like how they're fighting. Anyway.
Well, I think that's that's one of these things that comes out of comes from the comic books because they weren't complicated stories; they were fun stories, and like it's just an easy tool to use to make an even fight. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I can see where that can come naturally from the comic books, and it's going to show up all over the place.
It's definitely one of the more common ones. I think we're going to see that one. In most of these movies. There's a big blue laser. This one's not a laser that has to be stopped, but there is a big ass blue laser to the sky.
Does happen, and it turns into lightning because that's how big blue lasers work.
As the movies go on, there's more evidence that the arc reactor is essentially a synthesized tesseract in a lot of ways. So I'm curious if there's a little bit of play to happen there.
Although the tesseract is
the
warp one, right?
That's
like
the
half
space stone
or two.
Yeah. What's that?
I said it could have been like a portally thing for half a second.
Could have been. They play with that more in the other movies, but especially ones that actually deal with the Tesseract. But
what I find interesting is they talk about the arc reactor powering something and making the hippies happy and blah blah blah. But they don't ever really seem to deal with the fact that like that's a large power grid that would have gone out.
Oh no, they do.
They show mention it briefly.
No, they show after the explosion. There's like whole neighborhoods going dark.
Right, but then it's like not brought up again.
I think they bring it up in like.
I just feel
2.
like there should be more of like a backup terminal like grid stuff, and, getting everything set up, and like what is he doing to support that?
Sure,
and it's like doesn't even get mentioned.
It's
just interesting to me.
I don't know. I would not.
Really,
I would not
want
care
to see
about
that in
the
a movie.
Yeah,
in the middle of the climax, they're not going to be like
points.
Tony's getting his face punched in by an iron giant, and meanwhile, some tech in Petaluma is just like, wait, hang on, tink. Sips his coffee and then back to lasers.
I'm not saying in the middle of the climax. I'm saying at the end of the movie when he's like dealing with the other stuff. There's no mention of him like making sure stuff gets put back in place and fixed.
If instead of guys,
days later,
if the end bit where he's giving his speech, you actually only saw it on like the shitty television screen of the tech who was fixing the fucking
All right, that'd be pretty good.
That would be really
that
funny.
That would actually be pretty
that
good.
Would have been funny.
That'd have been cool.
It bothers me when sometimes stuff's a talking point, but then doesn't get fixed.
That's
later.
fair.
Realism points minus.
I mean, I think the arc reactor was the only way that
they could do that without me being like, "Shut up, I don't give a shit."
Yeah. I mean, then why'd they show all those things going dark?
There's a couple left on here. Bad guy lives.
No.
I need scissors.
Obadiah gets fucking blown the shit up, and he's trapped in a big metal suit when it happens, and there's a big laser in the sky.
Yeah, it does not seem unless he's supposed to get portaled somewhere. I don't think it's.
Well, no, because the laser blast, and then he falls in and blows up. He is
that's
fucked.
right. Yeah, he's super dead.
And I think actually they straight up tell you that he's dead. So, sequel hook and Stinger are two of them on here, and they're both tied together.
Oh, well, that's like. Yeah, I mean, every movie has a stinger.
I guess that's true. Yeah, it's more of a stinger counter. This one had one stinger.
That's like if you have a bingo, the free space is stinger on a Marvel movie.
Yeah. So not all of them have a sequel hook though. This one does.
Some of them are more epilogue-y. That's fair.
Between Nick Fury at the end,
like with the shawarma eating and stuff.
That one's less of a hook. The other one being Terrence Howard and the Iron Man Mark II suit being like,
next time, baby.
They usually don't lay down those kinds of sequel hooks in other movies when they're not sure if they're going to take off.
Yeah.
That one was pretty blatant and
obvious.
Really hilarious in hindsight. Yeah. And then the last one,
I just
cursing.
feel like Don Cheadle does such a better job with the character.
Cursing in these movies has been on a slow uptick over the last 10 years. This one only has the word prick. That's as dirty as it gets in this game.
That's kind of amazing.
This movie, yeah.
That's impressive, especially with the Iron Man Tony Stark character.
Yeah, just this alcoholic rich guy, and all he manages Obadiah is staying, being like, "Hold still, you little prick," and that's the sum total of it.
Compared there's never a spot that feels unnatural for them to be not swearing.
No.
You know what I mean?
Compared to the newer movies where they're dropping shits all over the place.
Gross.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Boom, everywhere.
Not appropriate in the middle of a big fight.
I can understand that too, because they're starting. Okay, it's comic books. People associate comic books with kids. They want this to be like a kids movie, and then they start rolling with it.
They're
they're exploring and they're seeing what's happening. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we can get away with a little bit more and get away with a little bit more.
And they're all PG-13.
It's like, oh, the people that used to read comic books are like adults now. So like
the people who used to watch Iron Man are now 10 years older.
The thing is, people came to the first ones and they were like, oh, these are a lot like, especially with Iron Man. There's no swearing, but it's kind of a brutal movie.
Oh yeah.
I think people were like, oh, these really kind of are.
No, but you can
shoot movies.
In America. You can show as much violence as you want.
Right? No,
as long as you don't show
a boob.
That's the other
swear.
thing.
Apparently, those are worse than murder.
I think the other big thing in this movie. The other big thing in this movie that makes it feel like a bit of it, like more of a classic, I guess, superhero movie is the collateral damage is really minimal, like way less than is even remotely realistic.
At the beginning of the thing.
I don't even mean the scenes that take place around the 10 rings are a little bit more in terms of damage, but you very rarely see the result of what's happening. And even in the final fight, they're like rolling around with cars and stuff, and very few of the cars actually come away with much more than a couple dings.
Yeah, the only car that's ever in real danger is the one that he's holding over his head,
which then runs over Iron Man harmlessly.
Although Ironmonger gets flung into another car and crashes into the windshield, so whoever's in that car is probably dead.
Probably.
But we don't have to talk about that, Ben.
Yeah, but basically the point being, the impact of the fight is almost none.
That's,
like, yes, the main building of Stark Industries is fucked.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
They
like, a truck has a big hole in it.
With the fact that all those people would have died in those cars.
It didn't even look like most of it was fucked. Just part of it.
Yeah, just the middle. They'd probably want to condemn it and rebuild anyway, but...
Yeah. Whatever, they got
replace it with the smaller arc reactor.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. All in all, picking this thing up, I actually have both the Blu-ray that I bought last year in anticipation of this and the original DVD that I've had for almost a decade now.
A thrill-a-minute blockbuster.
I'm actually, and I mentioned this before we sat down to watch
it. Spectacular.
They look
such a generic.
It's a super generic box, and like it's exactly the same between both, which is honestly kind of rare. Between after 10 years, I don't know of almost any DVDs and Blu-rays that don't have a completely different looking cover.
Never paid attention to that.
Yeah,
I don't buy DVDs or Blu-rays.
Correct.
Well, there you go.
I would have assumed they would have all had the same cover, because why would it not just be standardized, right?
Yeah.
Did any of you guys go to see this? First of all,
probably
was this anyone's first time watching?
No.
Okay. Did any of you guys see it in theaters?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
don't
assume
know.
I went with you on
Yeah.
opening weekend because that's
in 2008.
Probably
that'd be pretty surprising.
Maybe. I mean,
in May of 2008, before you were in college. No,
sorry.
Definitely didn't know you when this movie came out. No.
Sorry.
I remember
5 years ago, yes.
I distinctly remember going to see this on the stinger at the end just because, like, no one really knew at the beginning. Everyone was like, oh, it's a superhero movie. Cool. And we had just gotten one a year for, like, 5 years. So we're like, yay, another one. Yeah. And it was the same summer that Batman Begins comes out. And so, we'll sit through the end. And, like, someone's like, oh, you should stay to the end. All right, fine. And then you get to the end. It's like, I'd like to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. And you feel everyone in the room just go...
Yeah,
like everybody all at once, like, whoa, wait a minute, what?
I do remember that.
I don't.
It was the first, like, there was something like online. They were like,
it's like, trust me, guys.
Sit through the credits.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It was the first time they did something like
that.
If
I saw this movie in theaters or not, I don't remember.
I definitely remember it.
Because I was going to theater to see like the X-Men movies, and going to theater to see Spider-Man.
I remember distinctly going to see the X-Men movies. I don't remember
Iron Man was like Iron Man. I'm positive I went to see in theaters because I remember being like, I don't know Iron Man that well. He's not like my favorite character.
Nobody did.
But my friend was like, he's super into Marvel comics. He's like, you got to come see it. He's a great character.
Iron Man's Tony Stark's a very compelling character. I think they made the perfect choice.
And he convinced me to go see it.
I think I went to go see it. I just don't remember it making that huge of an impact on me at the time.
That ending was big.
Well, Avengers, the word Avengers means a lot.
What other movies came out?
I was just like, oh, sweet, they're going to keep going.
Around around like...
That same year was the year The Dark Knight came out. 2008 was a pretty...
That I definitely
2008
saw.
Is essentially like the epoch of where everything where the paradigm shift happened in comic book movies.
What non-comic book movies came out?
What are non-comic book movies?
The other movies
Let's
in that
see.
year.
Was that the year Avatar came out?
I have no idea.
I think it might have been. I think it was.
That I saw.
Search 2008 in film. There's a Wikipedia page for every year in film.
Probably saw Iron Man
I saw
when it came
too,
out, because
and
I definitely watched all of the MCU movies.
Actually, The Incredible Hulk came out the same year. That also came out in 2008.
That I think I watched and was disappointed with, as was like the rest of the world.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it definitely didn't elevate. It was not better than Iron Man, in my opinion.
Okay, so Iron Man led the summer off. Then you had Speed Racer, Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
I did not watch that one.
Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Fuck that movie.
I watched that one. It was sad.
Sex and the City. Who
Kung
cares?
Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda.
That's good.
That was actually
Quantum
cute.
of Solace. Wall-E.
That's also good.
So, like, 2008 seems to have been like a super
I
fucking
saw
divisive
Wall-E.
year.
I saw Wall-E with my family.
Wanted.
I think
not a great
I saw
movie, but I
Iron
remember
Man,
it.
but honestly, with all the other movies, it
Hancock.
didn't make as strong of an impression.
Oh, I liked the first half of
Hancock. Hancock wanted to be like 2 or 3 different movies. Was my problem.
No one
with
cares
Hancock.
about. No one cares about Hancock.
No, I'm sorry. It was
like
good.
It was a bad movie.
Hancock was 2 to 3 movies they just shoved together.
The 2 or 3
2
different
came
movies
out,
were all good
Dark
movies,
Knight.
but they were all combined. And
Hellboy
I'm sorry,
2,
it just
Dark
could have been
Knight,
good. You saw
Step
it, right?
Brothers.
I did.
The X-Files movie. Pineapple Express.
Hey, there you go.
Clone Wars.
Oh,
Tropic
shit.
Thunder.
I was gonna say, wasn't Tropic Thunder like back to back
of
Pineapple
movies.
Express?
I kind of always wanted to rewatch Tropic Thunder. I only ever got to see that once.
Robert Downey Jr. like had his fucking career like just come alight again.
Yeah.
That was a damn good year for him.
Not just the same year, but the same summer.
And there's so much funny, ridiculous
summer
shit.
movies.
I mean, we're getting the same thing right now with Josh Brolin. Only because they pushed Avengers Infinity War forward a week is he not having 2 major movies come out a week apart.
Nice.
Or 2 weeks apart. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Is there anything else that we should... Who would you recommend this movie to, if anyone?
I mean...
Ben? We'll work down the line.
Anyone who likes any kind of action movie or is like vaguely interested in comic book movies, it's just a solid movie if you want to see something fun and explosions. And it's not like too dumbed down either. So,
all right, Lindsay.
If somebody said, I think I'm gonna go watch Spider-Man tonight, I'd be like, hey buddy, how about instead
interesting,
you go ahead and watch Iron Man for me, because don't do that to yourself. Otherwise, I don't recommend movies to people, so.
All right.
Glad I don't listen to you about everything.
Just most things.
I mean, a lot. I won't lie, but not everything.
pretty much what Ben said, and also, you just can't look at the science too hard.
Yeah.
Because,
I think that's good advice for most movies.
There's some that want you to.
It's not dumbed down too much, but it's also not pretending to be a smart movie.
Yeah. I think I mostly agree, kind of across the board. I think it's I don't know. I think if you're a fan of action movies from around that time, I think once stuff like The Expendables and things like things like that came out, action movies kind of went to cranked out to 17.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of action movies that came out prior to 2008, then you're gonna enjoy Iron
Steven
Man.
Seagal films.
Oh,
yeah,
they're lovely.
But they're so lovely.
That's their own. They have their own genre.
Oh, they do. They're so good.
If you like fast-paced stuff, if you like quippy movies, there's a lot of good quips in here.
Yeah, a lot of good.
And honestly,
that's a pretty consistent thing across.
You know what?
Movies.
I recommend it to actors who want to learn how to do kind of very fast-paced interruption.
Yeah, it actually does
dialogue.
that.
The dialogue is so smooth.
That is one of the best parts of the movie.
The
actually,
Peppertoni
the
scene
talking over each other,
and it's not
talking at each other over each other. No,
it's not just two people talking over each other either. They are responding to each other as they go.
Very
so,
good. It's
really tight. They did a great job with that. I think I would recommend this to basically anyone who likes any superhero movie from the 2000s outside of the Nolan movies, because they're so different. Any other superhero movie you like out of the 2000s, if you enjoy those, then you'll like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably about it, unless you guys have anything else to say on that.
No, I think that
prompt
really
me and I can talk, but otherwise, I'm a dead brain.
It's attacking my face.
All right, then I think that's probably it, and I guess we'll see you next time for the Incredible Hulk.
Oh my God!
Wait, hey,
no. Is that the Eric Bana one, or is the Ed Norton one?
Yeah.
Okay. Ed Norton one's okay.